Hello, this is Paul Johnson for Film Obsessive, and I'm here today with Spencer Jamison. Spencer is writer, director, and lead actor of a short film called At Capacity. It recently had its premiere at the LA Shorts International Film Festival. And Spencer, let me thank you for joining us and welcome you to Film Obsessive.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I'm eager to talk about At Capacity. But first, can I cede the floor to you to describe the film a little bit?
Yes, so At Capacity is a whimsical, romantic comedy, dramedy about two people that have this unexpected evening together. They're both sent to be the proxy breakup individuals for a couple. Neither one of the couple shows up, so it's just two strangers there sent to do a job that they're unable to do. And it was my way of kind of paying homage to the romantic comedies that raised me, but also the political dramas I grew up watching, The West Wing, and really kind of introducing the world to my voice as a filmmaker, but also putting a little bit of tenderness out there. So that's my
That's
little
really
intro.
nice.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a little bit about breakup by proxy because it's a concept with which I am unfamiliar, but then again, I haven't been on the dating scene for like nearly 40 years. So, yeah, what is that like and how does that work?
And honestly, congratulations to you that you have not had to
Thank
be
you.
out there. Um,
I feel good about it. Thank you.
yeah. Uh, it's honestly nothing I've ever seen before, but that's kind of why I wanted to start there. I sat with myself and I was like, if I was creating a meet cute, what is the kind of outlandish way that I would want to introduce two characters that I'd never seen? And what I will say is like, people will hire people on Fiverr or TaskRabbit to do these mundane things. So I was like, well, we've become so isolated and I feel like being on dating apps is really it's lacking this personal touch because everything is, done on our phone. That I was like, what if this happened? And just kind of ran with it. But
That's
none of
so
my friends
cool.
have had this experience or anything.
Okay, and did you write your script essentially from that conceit? Like what would follow if? Is that the path that you were taking with it?
Yes. And I knew I wanted to kind of synthesize conversations that my friends had had on dates or conversations my friends and I have had in our what we call cafe, which is basically on each other's couches. And, it went through a couple different iterations where at first I wanted them to be these political staffers that find out the next day they're going to be like working together. And so I was like, okay, I could be talking about in the conversation gerrymandering or, um, you know, uh, political parties and really getting into the nitty gritty of having a stance in that regard. But instead, I was like, what does it mean to connect with people that have similar moral values, but your means of getting to a solution are different? That it's like we don't all have to agree, but I think it's really interesting to kind of navigate spaces where we're going after the same moral things, but we want to take different pathways.
Well, right. And one of the things I was really struck by in your film is that, the old and conventional and traditional ways of accomplishing change, have, it seems like, largely fallen by the wayside for different kinds of tactics of, disinformation and, other kinds of means. And I'm wondering how your generation navigates that. Do you give into it and accept it, or do you push back against it? I love how your film explores that tension.
Right. And something I wanted to give myself grace in regards to that is that I don't really know. My friends and I are taking it kind of a day at a time and doing the best we can to have empathy and be curious about what's happening. And hold on to some sense of hope because I think I wrote this in a moment where I was feeling really overwhelmed and my peers were feeling overwhelmed. And I was like, I could write something that is really exploring the trauma of, the past 4 years that we've experienced. But instead, I wanted to write something that was like, okay, let's spur a conversation, but also it can be disarming to meet someone who challenges you in a way that isn't, um, I don't want to use the word aggressive because I don't think that's right, but it's like sometimes the challenge can just be in asking questions.
Yeah.
And also you need to know the answers, but I think the curiosity is important. Yeah.
I hear that. And so I mentioned that you are lead actor in the film, and your co-lead, Jake Ryan Lozano, is, something of a foil to you in that you may be both after the same kind of thing eventually, but you have very different ideas and minds in getting there. Is he somebody that you knew and had written the role in mind with, or is he somebody who came to you through a more traditional casting process?
Jake and I were classmates at
Okay.
the Illinois Drama, and I think he was my second scene partner. And immediately there was a bit of chemistry, there was a bit of rapport, and now he's become one of my closest friends. So when I was looking at the opportunities that had been offered to Jake coming out of school, um, I didn't really see people shining a light on him as a leading man. But I was like, I want to put him in a position because I know how brilliant he is. I know how talented he is. And I also know that he's a very collaborative person that's very curious, just like I am. And so I'd written a couple drafts and I was like, hey, Jake, I'm scheming on a short film. Would you be interested? You want to read this? He gave me some notes, and when he signed on to be a part of it, then I was able to kind of write to his strengths. So he was learning Japanese, and of course he's Mexican American. He's from Texas. And so I wanted to really give him the space to play and for people to see him with new eyes, basically.
And let me ask too, in terms of casting yourself, did you always intend that you would play this role yourself? Did you think at any moment about casting someone else in it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it for myself for sure. I was, I'm not always going to put myself in things that I write or things that I want to direct, but I knew that in order for again, the world to see me the way that I wanted to be seen, I had to take a step in the direction of being like, okay, well, this is some of the things that I'm interested in doing, whether it's, a political show or being a romantic lead. And also, you know, just writing more roles for Black women. There are going to be other roles that I write that I'm like, I've written a couple of things where I'm like, I specifically have my friends in mind, most of it with the intention of giving people the space to be seen and heard in ways that, like, instead of being frustrated or complaining about what opportunities are coming up, we can kind of create our own with a bit of intention and expansion. So
That's awesome. And so let me ask too, now like your primary training is as an actor, right?
yes.
And do you ever like you find yourself in conflict with yourself as a person who's wearing multiple hats on a small production like this? Like, do you think as a director ever that your actor should or could make a different choice? Or as an actor, do you ever doubt the script or what the director is doing?
That's a really fun question because I did talk about, coming out of production. My mom was asking me a ton of questions. She was like, "How do you feel about wearing multiple hats?" And I learned a lot for sure. What was great about working with Jake, I'll answer it this way, is that we were working on the script up until, every day we would check in and be like, okay, what changes can happen in the script to make it feel even more grounded and even more close to the characters. I think when I'm sitting down to write, I am very character driven, relationships, point of view. And and sometimes that means I have to do a little bit of extra work to make sure that I'm giving them enough conflict and I'm giving the story enough like set pieces or places to go so that there's a true arc. For At Capacity, I would say my main focus was writing because I wanted the script to be very strong. Then came the directing, making sure that everybody on the team knew what I wanted to look like, what sort of tone. I really wanted it to be warm. My DP Cooney was incredible because he just signed on and he was like, great. He's known me since I was a teenager. He's one of my brother's good friends and collaborators. And so shifting from an actor that he's worked with to a director was interesting and fun because he was just so like, he was like, I trust you, so let's do it. And then I would say third came the acting because I wasn't even watching dailies. So I did have a stand-in so I could make sure I was watching looking at the picture and everything. But we did not have enough time to watch dailies. There are things in the edit where I was like, I would definitely change that. I would go back. And when I work on my feature, I'll know how to really I'll probably work with someone who is specifically looking at like I'll have eyes on set for somebody who's specifically looking at performance
Mhm.
because everybody else was looking at the technical on at
Yeah.
capacity. But no, there was no like internal conflict or anything. It's just like go, 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 get it done, make sure the story is clear. Luckily, I'd read through this draft so many times that I knew the character uh because I'd written it, but also like I knew her tempo, I knew how she breathed, I knew her point of view. And there are always things that you want to go back and change, but yes, that was a long-winded way of answering that question.
No, that's fine. How long did the shoot take? You've got, I think, it's like a 17-minute film, right? And it's three primary locations, I think. How long did your shoot take?
3 days.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
really quick.
Yes. And we were able to shoot the restaurant day for night. So I really have to thank, Cooney and all the all the G&E team for we were able to get into this restaurant, Southern Kitchen in Richmond, Virginia, and just black out everything. So that gave us a whole day of really being able to dive into the dinner, the conversation at dinner.
It looks great, by the way. And another compliment I wanted to give the film was just on the music. And that was originally commissioned for the film. Am I right?
Yes, yes. One of my best friends is a songwriter, singer-songwriter, and we both have a love of romance and Korean dramas. And I went to her and I was like, I think this is something that you would be really great at. It's her first time doing the score or an original song for a film. And I think it was a great learning experience for both of us. When we were filming, I sent her, I think the first day of shooting, the dailies, and she came back with the song. Like she just knew. We had already created like a playlist of music and inspiration and done that work, so I think she was already primed and ready to go. But I was really in awe by this original song that she created, kind of reminiscent of when what is it, She's All That, when she's walking down the stairs and Kiss Me plays, or I know Grey's Anatomy is known for some of the songs that they have like made iconic. We wanted to have this short feel nostalgic in that way. She did great.
Yeah.
Dana McCoy, go listen to her music, stream it.
Okay, I will find a link for me to insert in the transcript of the video. It
Yeah.
is really nice, actually. I did enjoy it quite a bit, and I think that conversation tells me a little bit about more of your influences. Are those are they like your ambitions then as well? Do you look forward to maybe making feature-length films in this same genre someday?
I would love to be genre agnostic because I feel like whatever story it comes to me requires it be met with a different container. And so, right now I'm developing a sci-fi action short, kind of an interrogation of my own relationship to social media. And I was working on, feature rom-com this morning, but I kind of love the way that you'll look at somebody like Rob Reiner, who jumps effortlessly through roles as a filmmaker, but also genres. And my hope is to be able to do the same, honestly.
Okay. That's exciting, and I hope someday, a year from now or two, maybe we can have a similar conversation about that film as well.
Yes, I
Did
really
you
hope so.
did you premiere then? Am I correct at LA International for shorts?
Yes, we did. That was back in July. And our next screening, our East Coast premiere, will be at the Richmond International Film Festival, which is kind of kismet for me because I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and the film festival theme this year is rooted. And it's like that's where my roots were developed, where I started in the theater and did professional productions there, and that's where we filmed this short, so it feels like a really special moment. That'll be uh September 26th, I believe. At the Bird Theater. I believe it's the 26th. Yeah.
That's really exciting, and I'm sure it'll be a warm welcome for you there. What was the experience like at the LA premiere for you?
Really surreal.
Yeah, yeah,
I
I
think
imagine.
it's like this started on a blank page. It started as just an idea, and to see it born and on to see everything on a big screen with the color, the quality of the DCP, just I'm nerding out now, learning all the things about filmmaking. And uh also Cooney was able to fly out from Virginia, and he was just so excited. We had, just a lot of cast and crew there. It really felt like a celebration, and the type of space I want to keep fostering and keep giving to my peers. Um, so I'm really grateful for that. Thank you, LA Shorts. Thank you.
No, that's really exciting. And I know from speaking to so many filmmakers that it is overwhelming and oftentimes surreal to see that film for the first time on a screen of that size, and also with a live audience surrounding you, right? It can be intimidating, overwhelming, but it can also be really assuring sometimes, I know.
Yeah, the having strangers watch the film and come up to me after and say it was one of their favorite ones that they'd seen in the festival, and that they really needed to hear some of the things that the characters had talked about, and needed to feel something hopeful and tender, was really all I was hoping for. I didn't go into making the short film thinking that it was going to be something that was like, aiming for awards or anything. I really just wanted to make something that people would want to watch again. And I feel like that's kind of my philosophy for all the films I want to make. I want to make things that are nurturing in the ways that when I was growing up, I would watch The Sound of Music over and over again, or, National Treasure. It's, or, just you get pulled into the filmmaking. Those are the two films I'm thinking of right now, but of course, there's so many others, and I hope that I can do the same. So the reception from the festival being so positive was really nice.
That's really good to hear. I'm not surprised at all that it was a good experience for you, Spencer. I'll just wish you the very best of luck as you head to Richmond in a couple of weeks, and look forward to your film appearing there. In the meantime, best of luck with it and all your future filmmaking. And thanks for taking the time to speak with us at Film Obsessive today.
Truly, thank you for creating the space to speak on it and to be seen as a filmmaker. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.